Good evening, this is Damien of the Exeter Arcade. You all probably already knew that. And welcome to Virtual Pub Project. So, one thing we can't really deny at the moment is that England is going through a period of absolutely beautiful weather. We all want to go out and have a nice cocktail on the lawn. Obviously, you can buy some cocktails from us. We have cocktails on our delivery room. But around this sort of year is when we start looking at doing a special cocktail that we do for charity. Obviously, we can't really do that at the moment because you're not here to enjoy it. And getting it onto delivery is like pulling teeth. So, I thought I would just share with you what it is. And actually, it's quite an interesting drink because it's got a lovely bit of history to it. Now, the drink in question is called the gimlet. What the hell is a gimlet, you're asking yourselves? Well, you may know one that's very similar, called grog. Suddenly, the pennies are dropping. So, grog is a beautiful, summery, citrusy drink where you take lime juice, a bit of water and some rum, mix it all together, put it over ice, and it's really nice. It's really refreshing for this sort of weather, hot weather we've got. The gimlet is exactly the same, but instead of using rum, you use gin. And there's an amazing history to this, which I will now go into. So, where did we get this idea of grog and rum and lime and mixing it all together with water? Well, it actually starts in the 1740s. We have this great naval empire that's going around all to the far reaches of the earth. And back then, it's not like we had motorized boats or anything. This is run by the wind. And going across to France could take a week. Well, we can do that in 5 hours now, but back then that was like a week. Going off to the Americas could take weeks, even months, if you fell into bad weather. So, when you're away from that period of time, you're eating dried meats, cheeses, not really any fresh food, which led to all sorts of horrid, quite nasty diseases. And one that we talk about a lot is scurvy. This really nasty, itchy skin condition you can get from not getting enough fresh food inside of you. And there's a very famous experiment where a ship's doctor prescribed certain foods to various crew members. And one of them he suggested was lemons. And he found that the people eating lemons and oranges didn't get scurvy. So he said, it must be something in the lemon and the orange. He didn't know what, because science hadn't advanced enough at that point, but he knew it was something to do with citrusy fruits. So he was determined, right, every soldier now has to have a citrus ration. Problem is that lemons and oranges are really expensive at this time period. They've got to come from all of these hot climates into England and then be shipped out again on these boats. They keep really well, which is good, but it's just too expensive. When you've got thousands of men, you need to feed these two every day. But a good alternative to that is a lime. It has the same nutrition that stops the men from getting these horrible illnesses that debilitates them at sea. But they're not that tasty. Now, obviously, some of you out there are sour mouths and go, no, limes, I bite into a lime and love it. But the sailors of the 17th century didn't really like it. And thus, they just wouldn't eat them. I'm not going to eat that. No one's looking. Just lob it overboard or whatever. And this suddenly became a huge issue because they found a way to solve scurvy, and no one liked it. So it's then when, check my notes, Edward Vennon came into the equation. Now he was a vice admiral in the British Royal Navy. And he worked out that although soldiers really don't like eating limes, they really, really like drinking. So he devised and came to all of his troops and said, right, every single day, every man is to drink a tankard filled with lime juice, fresh water, and an extra ration of rum. Suddenly all of his naval people, yes, we get an extra ration of rum, we'll have that, thank you very much. And they would quite happily drink it, and that solved the problem. His men were healthy, they weren't suffering from this horrible debilitating illness, and they were having a good success with it. So, Where do we get the name grog? Well, the name grog comes from the fact that he used to wear an old grog coat. And thus it just became the nickname for the drink. Oh, yeah, old grog over there. Now, down here in the West Country, we had quite an important major part of the British Naval Empire. We had the dockyard in Plymouth, known as Devonport, which, fun little fact, used to be the name of this pub many, many years back, sort of 18th century-ish. So, we've got a nice Navy base there. They also want to make sure that they're getting their soldiers and their sailors nice and healthy with this new revolutionary drink. Give them an extra ration of booze, bit of fresh water, bit of lime juice. They will drink it all day long. We're not well known for our rum at this point, though. There's no real rum distilleries anywhere. But lucky for you, for the British Navy, we happen to have a lovely distillery in Plymouth called Plymouth Gin Distillery, making an old traditional gin recipe off of ingredients, botanicals that were coming in every day in this major port that it was. So they simply swapped out the rum, which for that region of the world was a very expensive thing to buy, bought barrels and barrels and barrels of gin from Plymouth. And they sent it across the entire Royal Navy. Everywhere had barrels of Plymouth gin on their boats, very proudly. And the gimlet is simply just a remaking of that, but with gin. So if you want to make one at home, mix equal parts rum or gin, depending on your preference, fresh water, lime juice, and enjoy the fact that you'll be a scurvy-free, quarantined human being. Other than that, thank you very much. That was a quick little history lesson into the history of the gimlet, as it would be known down here in the West Country, and a little bit of extra grog. Hope you're all keeping safe. A very happy Easter from myself and my staff here at the Exeter Arcade. And other than that, we will see you tomorrow for another Virtual Pub Project update.